All right, hey everybody, appreciate you joining us today for the fun and exciting topic on project manufacturing. This is something that we're starting to see more and more of in the Acumatica space. I am Dennis Easter, a recovering accountant, and so I've got a little bit of background in this. So all of you real practicing accountants, please be nice with the questions. So what we're going to do, well, first let's find out what we're going to do here. We're going to take a look at the project accounting IDIs. I'm associated with salespeople all the time, and everything has to have an IDI. So we'll talk about those a little bit. Then we're going to start looking at project manufacturing, project accounting. First thing you're going to learn is that life is not a video game. So stay tuned for that. You're going to meet some new best friends. So hope you're looking forward to that. And then we'll get a little more serious and take a look at some of the actual features inside of Acumatica for project manufacturing, creating that single source of truth, and then look at some of those, the way that the project accounting interfaces with manufacturing so you can get that information that you're looking for. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the IDIs. Okay, everybody has to have an IDI. So read ahead. I know you're going to anyway. But inside of project accounting in Acumatica, these are some of the features that are available. And as you guessed it, I've assigned an IDI to each one. So project budgeting and cost tracking. This is important when we start looking at project manufacturing, in that there are multiple phases to the project, and it it may be, and this is going to depend on how your business operates. So if you're a capital equipment manufacturer and you have a very long production time, you may have budgeting and cost tracking where you're using that not only for billing, maybe milestone billing or such, but also revenue recognition. And you obviously want to measure what's going on so that as your customer may provide change orders to you, you can actually look and find out whether or not that change order was profitable. So that's a good idea. Billing features. So the thing about what that I've learned with project manufacturing is that it encompasses the entire organization. So if you think of a typical sales process, is that there's maybe an initial estimate. And once the opportunity is won, converted to a sales order, and the project is created, engineering gets involved. And so with engineering, you'll want to maybe measure and track their time. Maybe you're going to bill the customer for the engineering time, maybe not, but you'll want to understand what those costs are so that as you bid future projects, you can understand that you need to cover those as part of your overhead. Okay. And then you've got fixed price billing. You can do milestone billing at completion of phases. So as we mentioned earlier with the engineering, if they're completing drawings, then you're going to get another deposit or prepayment once drawings are complete, maybe another prepayment once major materials have been purchased, and then another at shipping, the final deposit, or maybe a deposit on the shipping, the final payment on the product, but you have the need for installation labor that you're going to charge for. So you want to be able to track that time and materials and bill for it separately. And that's one of the great things about Acumatica's project accounting, is that it allows you to manage each part of the project and bill for it using different billing conditions. Okay. Another thing that you may want to do is expense allocation to run it overhead and such across different phases of the project, different profit centers. Revenue recognition. This is when you've got long-term projects and you want to make sure that you're recognizing the revenue as it's compared to the payments that you've already received. So you can have your liability of revenue recognized in excess of billings, or billings in excess of payments. So you can go ahead and manage that all within the Acumatica project accounting. And then again, we go back to change orders and the commitments. Okay, so in the terminology that we use inside of Acumatica project accounting, then a commitment is a purchase order. You know, it's your agreement to incur additional costs for the project. So it's a purchase order for product, or if you're doing some installation work and you have subcontractors and you've engaged a subcontractor, you can put that subcontract against the project as a commitment. And as the project moves forward, you can track those commitments and understand where you stand in the status of the project as a whole. And then the last thing that we just want to talk about, the final IDI, is accountability through the use of approval maps and alerts. And so if you're familiar with Acumatica, you know that it's got a great monitoring tool, great ways to bring to your attention anything outside the norm. And whether that be on a dashboard or whether it be on a business event, this is how Acumatica is going to help you understand the status of the project and anything that needs your particular attention. So those are the project IDIs. If you have some more that you'd like to share with me, then go ahead and add them to the chat, and Amy will catch us up at the end here. So now I want to talk to you tell you a little story. Walked in to my basement and was watching my son and his friends play a video game, and they were getting pretty upset because the video game seemed to be winning. And of course, being the dad, used to play games when I was a younger man. Give me a try. Let me give it a try. And so the game started, and I'm hiding behind some brick structure. As a fantasy game with all kinds of creatures flying around. And I stuck my head out around the corner to peek and look. Fire-breathing dragon just took my face off. And they all got a good kick out of that. And then I realized that they were playing in hard mode. And what I want you to take away from today, whether you're working in project manufacturing or just life in general, is that you don't get bonus points in life for doing things in hard mode. And what we find as I go around and I work with companies all around the country that are involved in manufacturing and more in project manufacturing, is that they're playing in hard mode when it comes to project accounting. And that's because the system that they have doesn't support them very well, and they have developed Excel spreadsheets. Now, I don't know how many of you can relate to this, but my guess is that you have experience where Excel is being overused. Excel is a great analytical tool. Analytical and reporting is what it's all about. The problem is when people start to use it as a database and then add different functionality to it and link multiple spreadsheets and do really fancy things, and it gets away from its core purpose. And if you have a project accounting system that looks like the picture on the screen, you're playing in hard mode. And so what we found, I want to take a look at what some of these spreadsheets often contain, and maybe some of the problems that that's going to cause you. So first of all, there always seems to be a task list. It's a standalone task list. It's an Excel spreadsheet, and it has the task that someone's supposed to be doing, who's responsible for it, when it's supposed to start and end, and then the status. And the problem there is that there's no accountability. It's difficult to manage tasks, to look at progress as people go along and do their work if you only have a list of tasks to do. Another common spreadsheet that's being used for tracking costs and activities and projects are manual timesheets. Okay? And so people are recording their time. Sometimes it's being written down on paper, and then somebody else is going into Excel and entering it into the timesheet. And then they're taking this information out of the Excel timesheet and entering it into the accounting system or payroll system. And it ends up with a great deal of double entry, and it's all manual. And none of it is value add, which is another real problem. But one of the most fun things that I've seen when it comes to project accounting and project manufacturing is that people build their production schedules inside of Excel. And this is one of those things where Excel is really starting to be overused. And again, it's outside the system. It's completely manually maintained. And there's just a lack of control over the data input. And somebody has put a lot of work into this, and they're proud of it. But from the rest of the organization, do you know what's missing? You don't know how the spreadsheet was built. You don't know what information is being provided. And so, again, you have a data silo that is no longer a viable solution as the company scales. So if someone that developed this spreadsheet leaves the organization, where are you? It's a very, very huge risk to be taking on. And then finally, we're just going to say there's another manual report, more manual reporting in Excel. So whether you're looking at a cost summary report, many, many times this information is being manually read from the accounting system, typed into the Excel spreadsheet so that you can do reporting and analysis. And one of the things that, it takes time to do that, but there's also the risk of errors. And the more errors that there are, the more time it takes to update it. And it's not real time. This is done on a periodic basis, and you don't have real-time visibility as to what's going on in the project. So again, whether or not you're working in project manufacturing and you have many of these spreadsheets in your project tracking system, or whether you're observing and just came here to learn more about it, don't play life on hard mode. You don't get extra points for it. So what about Acumatica? I want to introduce you to your new best friends. So once you have Acumatica projects enabled, then on the transaction screens that relate to projects, so whether it's a time entry screen, whether it's a purchase order, is the screen you see here on top, whether it's a production order, the screen that you see on the bottom, sales orders, AP bills, they all have a project field and a project task field, and if you've enabled it, a cost code field. And what these do is they really set the stage to make all of the transactions associated with a project very controlled, and it increases the user experience when we get into, especially my favorite, manufacturing. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. So once you enable projects, you get these fields, and they all relate back to a single source of truth known as the Acumatica project. Now, as we look at this, I want you all to look at it, admire it, and then respond, maybe with confetti, maybe to yourself, and say, ooh la la, that's nice. Because look at all the information that you're gathering. You have the project tasks. You know, how is the project going to proceed? You have your budgets, your cost and revenue budgets. You've got your balances, and we'll take a look at that tab in a little bit because it is full of information that you need. Your commitments, we talked about commitments earlier. But this goes all the way through production orders and field service. And, you know, if you're working with unions, so you've got all of this information in a single place. You're now developing a single source of truth, not 16 Excel spreadsheets that are manually maintained. So, ooh la la, that's nice. So let's take a look at the project budgeting, because as we're moving through project manufacturing, capital equipment manufacturing, large equipment manufacturing with field installation, those type of things that have different billing requirements, maybe different revenue recognition requirements, they're all going to need a single source of truth that contains your plan. And that's what project budgeting is all about. So you can budget your revenue in your different phases and when you expect it to come in. You can also budget based upon your cost component. So how much of it, as you see here, is labor design? You know, how much of this is going to be your engineering costs? How much of it is going to be the actual materials and labor for manufacturing, and how much for installation? So you're able to create these budgets, and now you have a baseline that you can work with. And you'll notice that we also have change requests. So as the customer changes their mind, and sometimes they do that, you're able to adjust your budget and your plan based upon the change request, because you have this all in a single source of truth. Now, as you're moving along, you're wanting to capture activities that are accumulating costs, or possibly they're administrative tasks that you simply want to manage to make sure that all of the paperwork is being done, everything's in compliance, so that you can successfully complete your project on time and under budget, because that's the goal. And with that, Acumatica's activities. So if you're familiar with Acumatica's activities, that's whether emails or time activities or notes or phone calls, anything type of communication or participation in the project can be tracked and recorded against this particular project. And you have full visibility to it. There's one of those idiots again. You have a view of what's been done on the project. And with that, it gives you accountability, because now you know you have a task that someone was supposed to do, and you have that, you know, what they're done, what's their project progress been on that. So you can see what that's looked like. And now let's take a look at production, because after all, this is all about project manufacturing. So you'll notice here that on the project itself, you have a list of what production orders have been sent to the shop floor that are associated with the project. So now let's take a look at, as we get into production, what's going to happen as things are moving along through the project itself. What's going on the floor? Okay. I wish they would leave me alone. Okay. So here's I'm just kidding, folks. Um, this is a production order, and you'll notice that we have a link to our project. And why is it important to have this on the project material information on the production order? Because that creates the data points so that when the people on the shop floor report production, they don't have to worry about what project it's for. Acumatica is tracking all that behind the scenes so that when someone logs time against a production order, Acumatica is going to automatically pick that up. So let's take a look at that. So here we see a move transaction. This is where someone's reporting transaction against a production order. And you'll see that we have the reporting 5. And in that, we're having the system automatically calculate the material and labor that's associated with this operation. And so with this operation, they're saying that they've completed 5 out of the 10 on the production order. And so in real time, you can see that the project and the task have updated that said, look, we've already included $50 of costs in our WIP account. We've incurred $50 worth of costs in our work in process. And as the work continues to be done and completed and recorded, then your WIP value continues to increase. Once the production is complete, then you can see that it's going to move into inventory and be available for shipping. And then as it's shipped onto the job, you'll see that cost move to materials. And so in that, because we've recorded that project information on the production order, people on the shop floor don't have to worry about it. Now, in my example, I did a very simple example, but one of the things that you can do is you can have the people in the production, just like the people in the administrative office, track their actual time that they spent. We're working with the company now here at Algorithm, somebody we're talking to. They have production orders that include 3,000 hours of labor. And that's not all going to get done in one day. And so they're looking for how Acumatica is going to allow them to generate the costs against the project as they move along. And so we've shown them Acumatica's project accounting, and they like that idea. Now, one thing that you should know about Acumatica, if you don't already, is that there's a very vibrant ISV community. A lot of ISVs are contributing to acuCONNECT today, presenting. Take advantage of those. They're great resources. And Trebia Software is our sponsor in project manufacturing. They have a great little application that enhances what the traditional out-of-the-box functionality in Acumatica does. And so with that, they're able to give you more detail when it comes to collecting time. And they're able to, as you see, have people clocking in and out of activities on the project. And so this provides a consistent user experience for someone whether they're in the office or in the shop floor, or maybe they're actually out even in the field. And so Trebia Software, we appreciate your support. We appreciate your involvement in the Acumatica community. I know that, Jeremy, you're out there trying to make the world a better place. You're investing in the product, and he's really involved in the project accounting, project manufacturing. And so this is an option if you're looking at different ways to capture actual data for the project. Again, whether it's in the office, whether it's on the shop floor, whether it's in the field, Trebia Software is a great tool. But in all of this, I want to make sure that you understand and have a better sense of what it means, excuse me, to be part of a single source of truth in the manufacturing world when it comes to large projects. So with that, I want to give a big thanks to acuCONNECT for letting me play today. And a big thanks for all of you, for coming out, for participating, because I know that there are probably going to be some questions. Thanks for the confetti. And all of you are great. Wouldn't be here without you. And so with that, I'm going to end that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And here I am. So what do we have for Q&A, Amy? Amy? Ah, there she is.
No questions, but everyone had great. That's great. Thank you, Dennis.
Oh,
it makes it easy for you.
I suppose that no questions means one of two things.
Well, Tune6 said he'd like to see the project screen again.
Okay. I'm going to show it to you, and I'm expecting another question too. So, entire screen, share that. And now, then we have to go through all the presentation.
All right, Tune.
All right, let's have it.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, me too. Come on, Tune. Don't keep us waiting.
Oh, he said, please elaborate on the setup.
On the setup. Okay. So one of the things that you'll notice, oh, thanks for the confetti, is that in the header that you'll see we've got a template. And a project template is something that you can set up where it provides default values for the fields. So if you want to have, notice here, different revenue and cost budgets, how you want to manage those, then those can all be set up in a template. And it really makes creating these projects much easier because you already have what your framework built out. And then just as a, oh, I can't scroll on the screen. I get confused whether I'm live or on a PowerPoint. So in this, then, there are multiple settings. So the tasks itself are the different phases. We took a look at the budgets. But the key to remember is that you build a template first, and that makes it very easy. You just assign a template to a project, and all of these details associated with the template are added to the project automatically as it's created. Did Did that answer the question, or do you have something more specific?
Waiting.
Waiting.
Please click on revenue. But this is a screenshot, right? So you can't do that.
This is a screenshot.
Yeah.
So the revenue budget, so you're talking about the revenue budget. It's going to allow you to create the revenue budget, what you're expecting and what you're planning on selling the project for, based on the task that you have created and the inventory item associated with that revenue item. So if you have a revenue item for the product, and maybe you have a revenue item for services, then you would have a budget line and task possibly for each of them. So yeah, sorry, this is through a PowerPoint screenshot. So I can't drill down and change screens in that. I've got a limited screen set to work with.
I hope that helps, Tune. I guess he could reach out to you, Dennis, at a later date, right?
Sure. I'm always available to help any way I can.
He said, does the production cost roll up move into project?
The production cost, as you're going through the production cycle, accumulating labor and material costs to it and overhead, it's going to show up. And this is where, if we looked at this balances tab, okay, it's going to show up in work in process. As production is being performed, and then once production is complete, it would move out of work in process into your inventory asset line on your balance tab. And those are set up using account groups. And this would all be part of a deeper demo and training as we move forward with the project.
All right. He said, thanks. Okay. Well, thanks, everyone. Happy that you were able to attend this session. And thanks, Dennis, for presenting. We appreciate it.
Oh, before everyone goes, make sure you check out the poll. We want to make sure we understand who came to visit.
Yes. Today. Take the poll, please.
It's only one question, so it won't take long.
I submitted my answer.
All right. I look forward to seeing what
you got 30% customers here, just so you know.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you again, Dennis.
Well, I appreciate the fact that none of you are willing to admit you're spies. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I know that you have a lot of things to do and your time is valuable. So thank you for letting me have some of it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being here, everyone.
Take care.